All right. It's the Somebody Show. I was angry that time.
Yeah, well, it's the third episode of the day, so
It's long.
I guess it's,
Let's take our time.
yeah. We'll just,
Our guest is stepping out to take a call. That's totally all right. How are you? How are you doing? This is great. I love the fact that we have. Yeah, it's the best. You know, it's the live energy of the show.
I love it.
And eventually we're gonna have to go here and say, "You suck." We're gonna have to deal with that. You know?
We'll have to get someone to get the crowd in line. Like
Yeah. No, I didn't. I was not. Oh, yeah. I guess I did. I told them like the rules of like how to behave. Don't yell out, "You suck."
Right.
To Craig Ferguson.
Okay.
Very soft, gentle spirit.
I was a big Craig Kilburn guy, so I would say you suck to Craig Ferguson.
Oh, really? You don't like Craig Ferguson?
No, I did, but I like Craig Kilburn better. Yeah.
Can I get comfortable in this chair? Our second guest, our guest we had on another episode is also here in the studio audience today.
Just
Ian
decided to stick around.
Yeah, no,
Need help?
he's watching. I don't know. I'm kind of out of sorts back here right now.
You want to switch seats?
Yeah, I ate some chocolate covered peanuts and I got in my teeth and But what are we talking about here today?
I think we got
one of our segments, right?
I can't get enough of this. I don't know what the viewer or viewers, whatever but I love the Chris E. True Hollywood Story.
Oh, they hate it. I love it. I'll talk. I'll talk about myself.
More Hollywood stories.
So
put it on me.
This is one you and I talked about last night. We were kind of doing our show prep.
We were laying in bed.
A couple times. I worked at a restaurant. Surprise, surprise. Actor worked at a restaurant. Was not waiting tables at this restaurant though. I was running food. It was like low on the totem pole.
Wow.
Yeah. But Jim Carrey used to go there a lot.
Okay.
It was called The Little Door. Was the name of it. It was a front little Bohemian French restaurant. Beautiful ambiance, like just perfect date restaurant, like just very dark. And
French people from the Bahamas? Is that?
No, that's what they described it. Bohemian French.
Is
Jack, you've heard that before? Bohemian French? No, never heard that? Ian?
I've heard that,
French?
yeah.
Okay. Brian? Bohemian French? Yep. There we go. Sean, you're the dummy in the group. All right. Jack's not a dummy. Jack said he didn't hear about it, but Jack is clearly not a dummy. We'll soon learn that. Anyway, Jim Carrey. Let's get back to the story. Jim Carrey would come in frequently. And when I started my career, career sounds ridiculous, so pretentious and ridiculous to say.
Well, it's funny because if you look at it, it really wasn't a career.
It obviously ended at some point. So at the beginning, I was doing these kids shows, and it was a very animated, like, And at the time, In Living Color was on. Okay. So Fire Marshal Bill. And all the kids after the show would be like, "Oh, Jim Carrey!" Oh, and
you look like a poor man. You look like a poor man.
And I was like, no, not Jim Carrey. He wasn't making $20 million a movie yet, but I was still very envious of what he was doing. And he is unbelievably talented, I think. Yeah, exactly. I was working. I was a working actor. But back then, I was working. Anyway, fast forward a few years, I'm living in Los Angeles because I was doing those shows in Georgia.
Okay.
And he's there, and I then at that point kind of embraced the Jim Carrey kind of thing. I even thought about like doing like kids parties. Actually, when I did wait tables, I would do that shtick for the tables to try to get tips, dance for tips, right? And occasionally people were like, "Oh, we should have you be at our party as like the Jim Carrey impersonator." And I used to just joke that I would like walk around going, "Alrighty then," and hold out my hands, and people put change in
with your butt.
Yeah,
probably bad as a waiter to do that.
Yeah. What can I get you to eat tonight?
Spit out as he talks.
So anyway, I'm running food out to Jim Carrey's table, and I knew that he had the mussels. I think it was the plate of mussels. So as I put the mussels on the table, I'm like, "Who had the mussels?" And he looks up at me. He's kind of taken aback. He's like, "Wow!" And everyone at the table laughed, which I was very happy that I was worried everyone was gonna be like, "Get the hell out of here, you man!" But everyone laughed. He was like thoroughly entertained, and was like, "It's like I should have you go on the road and sign autographs for me." And I was like, "Oh, that'd be great, Jim." And he's, "Get out of here!" And then he punched me in the stomach. No, but that was it. Like he was, I didn't know what to do. I was very nervous. That same restaurant actually shook Steven Spielberg's hand and told him that I was a big fan, or wanted to see the movie he made in high school called Fire Flight, I think it was. He made a little 8mm, 16mm film in high school, and he told me that Kate Upshaw, his wife, was the only person besides. Yeah, so he was not going to show it.
We made a movie in high school for our health class, and it was a toothbrush chasing after a kid. It was like a spoof off of
horror movie.
like a horror movie, like the one in the woods. What's the
Blair Witch.
Blair Witch.
Blair
Thank
Witch.
you. Yeah, we
That's
did it.
great.
We made it. It was about hygiene. It was a movie about hygiene, and the toothbrush chased after the kid because he had bad teeth.
Yeah.
And he like fell in the woods. It was pretty fun.
Do you still have that?
No.
Oh man, we should recreate that.
Were they chasing me?
I did one similar to that though. We did a nature show about peepholes, and like the peephole was like a living being, and
So is that like a glory hole?
no, it's totally different.
Yeah.
No, but the peephole we like glued like a peephole or something to the front of the camera. We were like the very elusive peephole to watch in its natural habitat, you know.
then
And
you
so
got poked in the eye.
so it's like it's there, and like someone comes and looks through the peephole, and then all of a sudden the peephole starts moving around. It's a ridiculous video, but I loved it. It was fun. Should we go to commercial?
Yeah, I think
We wasted enough time.
please.
All right, we're gonna go to commercial. We'll be right back with our guest, who I think you're gonna like, and if you don't,
Oh, shit.
I don't care. We'll be back.
A double pleasure's waiting for you. A double pleasure from Double Mint Gum. A double great feeling, making you realize Double Mint's the one for you. Double fresh, double smooth, double delicious to chew. A double pleasure is waiting for you. Double Mint Gum. A double pleasure is waiting for you. Double Mint Gum.
All right, we're back from that commercial. All right, you ready to go? Here we go. Our next guest has more feet than a one-legged pirate. Please welcome Jack Curran. Woo! All right, there he is. Look at the fist pump. All right, Jack. Welcome, man. Thank you so much for coming. Have a seat. All right, Jack. Welcome to the show, man.
How are you all doing?
Good. Sean and I work with you. You do some you
Little
run
bit of
some,
everything.
run some
Little
jobs
bit of
for us.
everything.
Yeah,
Little bit of
pretty much
everything.
any
Jack of all
construction.
Jack of all trades. There you
Yeah.
go. Didn't know I was going to send that to you, right?
Oh, no, I just have a company by that name. That was down in Florida.
Okay.
But that wasn't the only one.
Yeah, I bet.
And what year was that?
That was in 2000.
Okay, not too long ago. Yeah.
Not too long ago.
20, although it's 22 years ago. It's just crazy
It
that
goes fast.
Yeah, man. Woo!
I've been around for a long time.
Yeah, well, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about that because it's amazing. So I think we talked before the show. 81, you just turned 81?
Just turned 81.
It is incredible. You don't look a day over 20.
Thank you.
No, but I mean, the stuff that you do work-wise that we work with you on, like I mean, Jack like carries like 7 bags of cement into every
Not
job.
any longer.
But that was kind of where you got your start was what, in doing more concrete masonry was kind of the.
I cut concrete.
Okay.
I started a company in 67.
Okay.
I couldn't stand being in an office anymore or closed in.
Yeah.
And a buddy of mine from the Air Force, we decided to go into construction. We didn't
smart.
know what we were getting into at the time,
Yeah.
but it turned out to be a very lucrative business.
I was going to say that at that time in our country's history, there was a lot of upward, a lot of construction, a lot of stuff being built, and
Right, and we did a lot of stuff. We did a lot of government work.
okay. Oh wow. Yeah. Well, that was actually what I want to kind of start with, kind of going back. Let's rewind. We're going to rewind to your life. You were an air traffic controller. My mom and dad were both air traffic controllers.
Yes.
So they'll just let anybody do that? Is that what you're telling me? Like, do you have to go to school for that? Or you just,
Well, Jack did it. Yeah.
You go to a school. I went to an Air Force school. I was drafted in the Army, but they offered me a job as an air traffic controller to send me to school. But I had to sign up for another year.
Okay.
Rather than be for 2 years, I had to go at least a minimum of 3.
Sure.
But when you have to do 6 years when you're drafted or join. There's 6 years.
Okay.
So it started out, and right before Kennedy got shot is when I got drafted.
Oh, wow.
And I think my father turned me in because I was 22 years old.
Really?
And I had just came back from Australia. I dropped out of school,
High school or college?
college.
Okay.
And I decided that I liked to party.
Yeah. Well,
I went to Boston, and then I wound up in San Diego, and then I crewed on a big sailing ship that went to Sydney, Australia. It was a delivery for Foster Beer, who I never heard of before that.
Forces. It's Australian for beer.
Yeah, Foster
Right?
Beer. I had never heard of Foster Beer.
We're
in
gonna
my
have a
life.
commercial for Foster's next after this.
So anyhow, then when I came back, I wound up being drafted.
Okay.
I went in in October to go down to Fort Jackson
Okay.
for basic training.
Okay.
I got there, but then Kennedy got shot. He sent me home.
Wow. Wow.
But I had taken all the aptitude tests, and so they knew. So before I even finished basic,
Yeah. They knew what they were getting.
well, yeah, well, they did it to a lot of people. But when I went home to
Yeah.
my father's house,
Yeah.
like he saw me come in the door, like, "What are you doing here?"
Wall. The A-wall. Turn it again,
I
right?
said, "No, Dad, it's because Kennedy got shot. They don't. Everything's closed down, so they don't know what to do with it. So they sent us home."
Wow.
So then they sent me an airplane ticket to go to Fort Knox
Okay.
to finish basic training.
Do they still have the gold there? Is that where the gold was?
Yeah, that's where the gold was. Yeah, that's where the gold is. Not that I got to see it.
Yeah, yeah. I remember as a kid. That's all you ever
So
heard.
all I saw was big hailstones. You don't want to be in Louisville, around Louisville, Kentucky in the spring
Yeah.
or
A lot of
this time of
hailstorms.
year. It's
Yeah.
bad.
Oof.
But that's when I found out that I was going to be an air traffic controller.
Okay.
He told me, "Oh, you're going to go to school when you finish basic."
Yeah.
So when I finished basic, I went down to Biloxi, Mississippi.
Okay,
It's
Biloxi
an Air
Rangers.
Force school. I had to report in at Fort Rucker. Fort Rucker right to, I guess that's
Yeah.
Alabama.
Okay.
Mississippi. That's Mississippi.
Biloxi, Mississippi. Yeah.
So I went to school there. Now the Air Force is kind of funny about Army guys. You're not supposed to fly more than 5,000 feet above
Okay.
the land.
Okay.
So that you learn via HR,
Yeah.
and then they send you back to Fort Rucker. but they keep all the time. They kept their eyes on people who went to their school.
Yeah. 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 So real quick, let's fast forward to Vietnam.
Yes, they sent me after when I was at Fort Rucker. They trained us for air mobile assault,
Yeah. Yeah.
but that never happened because their idea was wrong.
Okay.
They would take an air traffic controller and put you in the jungle, and then try and bring the helicopters in. By that time, the guy's dead.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or the radio man's dead.
Yeah.
Somebody's dead.
Right.
It don't work.
Yeah.
You have to stay up above. So they figured that the officers would do that.
Okay.
So then they would bring the helicopters. Where I was where they transported them out,
Okay.
like the base camp.
So you're holding the orange. Is that? I mean, is that what an air traffic?
No,
like,
no, you're on the radio. You're
Okay,
on the
you're
radio.
just- you're-
You're in a little tower they call pop-up tower. It's on
Gotcha.
the back of a deuce and a half.
Okay.
And I told you my mom and dad did it, right? I mentioned
Yeah.
it earlier. So
Yeah.
just give Sean an idea. You know, when you're a kid in your school and they're like, "Oh, talk about what your mom and dad do. What do they do?" So I went home and told my dad. I was like, "Well,
I'll tell you what they don't do is
watch."
watch our show.
Yeah, definitely. But I asked my dad, I was like, "What do you do at work?" And you can explain. He's like, "Well, you know what I'll do? I'll record what I do at work, and I'll give you a little tape, and you can bring it in and play it for your friends, for your class." So he does this, and I push play on the thing, and all I hear is, no. That's the other tape. I had to fast forward past that part. I hear. The most boring. I realized at that point, I was like, Jiminy Christmas, my dad has got a boring job.
Is that where they met?
Yeah, in the Navy. Yeah.
Okay.
Air traffic
In the
control.
Navy, yeah.
My dad was, my mom was dating one of my dad's buddies, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, and then they met. And then she wasn't. And then that's when the other tape got made.
Right.
All right. So there's a story that you told me about how there was like the module, some kind of module that you had to set up that you had to go get from, like there was this whole like really kind of crazy story about some air traffic control equipment that you had
Oh,
to
they
get.
got our equipment got lost
Okay.
when they shipped it over from Fort Rucker, Alabama, to Tryon, is where they Port City, and it just got either stolen, lost. Who knows where it went?
Yeah.
One of the pilots that's assigned to us, Major McKinney, took me for a ride up to Da Nang.
Okay.
He said he had seen the Marines when he went up there, when he had to make a run up there.
Yeah.
He saw the equipment all sitting along, but it was Marines equipment, all brand new, packaged,
Right. But not being used.
but not being used. Their places, they get shelled all the time. Where we were, they weren't. We weren't getting shelled like that. So I went up there to see what I could do. I asked my first sergeant, and he said, "Yeah, go ahead up there, Jack.
Okay.
Take a ride up there, see what you can do."
Yeah.
I did. I talked to a Marine captain, And then I flew back, and I made a deal. His men were not trained. The Navy decided not to train them.
Just give them the equipment. And
Well, yeah, and on-the-job training.
yeah.
So I come back, I told my first shirt that we can make a deal with this captain, this Marine captain, because he needs his people trained.
Right.
And we need the equipment.
Yeah.
I said, it's a deal made in heaven for us,
Absolutely.
you know?
Win-win.
Win-win. I tell the first shirt, Jack, I'll give you another stripe for this.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. You know, and he runs in, tells the executive officer.
Yeah.
He's ecstatic about it. So they go in and tell the commanding officer. He goes back to the thing of, what was Curran, an enlisted man, talking to an officer? And you know, if you were from the Navy, you know that that's one of them things that you were not supposed to fraternize
Absolutely.
with officers. I said, I wasn't fraternizing, I was making a deal.
Yeah, exactly.
But I had to go out to a base to get away from my commanding officer because he was out to get me. Because I didn't follow procedures, protocol.
Yeah.
I said, I was trying to get the job done.
But it all ended up working out, right? You got the equipment. You trained their guys.
No.
No.
Whoa, that didn't happen. My commanding officer hated Marines more than he hated the Viet Cong and the North Vietnamese.
So
They were the enemy.
So he put a kibosh on the
Whole thing. Whole thing. After I had returned to the States, I heard that they canned him. The Inspector General found out because he picked on everybody. He was an ass. He was an ass. You get that.
Sean's an ass, but it's not deal.
I like Sean. But I had to go out to a place to get away from him.
Yeah.
I went out to near the Laotian border to
Okay.
a special forces camp.
Okay.
But they were training. There was South Vietnamese.
Yeah.
There was CIA. There was everything you can think of under the sun with all kinds of letters.
That sounds exciting.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't. You know, why I should have brought it with me tonight is a bayonet that the special forces gave me because I called in an airstrike. Now, that wasn't my job.
Yeah,
I was there for transport planes to come in, helicopters in and out, going back to Pleiku or Hainan. What happened is the North Vietnamese were spying on our camp.
Okay.
And to harass us, they would have a mortar crew come up.
Okay.
But they only fired at dusk or in the dark.
Okay.
So that we couldn't spot them.
Right.
Luckily, I was in the little pop-up tower. I saw these birds fly up. And right after the bird, there was this big explosion from a mortar.
Yeah.
And I said, the only reason them birds flew up because they were settling in for the night. It was just at dusk. Unfortunately for these North Vietnamese, who that's where they were, was that there were two F-100s loaded with napalm that were hunting for the Ho Chi Minh Trail. But fog had come in, mist.
So they couldn't accomplish their
got
mission.
in between the mountains. You go up the Poconos, you'll see the same thing.
Oh, yeah.
So they couldn't drop the bombs, the ordnance. They also don't land with napalm.
They got to drop it somewhere.
You got to drop it. They usually we go out to the South China Sea and drop it, then go back to Phuket. But they put out on the radio, anybody need any napalm? Just right after that.
Wow. So, you're like, hey,
So I said, and they were in my area because they were going back to Phuket. About 70 miles back there. And I said, this is TAC 2, the base of TAC 2, you know where it's at? And they said, oh yeah, we know where TAC 2 is. I said, and I told them exactly on what side of the runway and how far in that I saw them birds come up. And they dropped the napalm there.
And napalm's not a sniper, so it's, wherever they drop
it covers a couple hundred yards.
Agent Orange.
And well, anyhow, the next morning, of course, we didn't get no more mortars. No more mortars. No more mortar rounds came in.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And the next morning, the special forces went out to see what was out there. Well, they brought back. They didn't find any bodies, but they found equipment.
Yeah.
They found belts and stuff. Well, they gave me a knife, a bayonet from an AK-47. Now, and most of them used to fold out, so this had to be in like an officer's weapon.
Yeah.
And it was on this web belt.
Yeah.
Now, it's made out of, it's steel, of course, the bayonet's steel
Yeah.
itself, but the scabbard is made out of sponge rubber.
Oh.
Green. It's painted green, camouflage.
Yeah.
They gave that to me, and I brought it home.
Yeah.
At the top was all burnt
Yeah, of course.
from the napalm.
Yeah.
Today, all what's left is a little bit of that.
Because it's been eaten away all
It's
these
been
years.
eaten away all these years. So I put it in a plastic bag and to bring it back with me.
Maybe you can take a picture of it and I'll put it on the show. If you take a picture and send it to
I
me,
will. I'll
put
send
on
it
the
to you.
show.
I'll show you. I'll bring it over to your house and I'll show it to you. I meant to bring it today, but I forgot.
Circumcision.
Yeah, there you go. We're going to go to commercial, and then we're going to come back and talk to you a little bit about your time in the islands, because you have some
All
good
right,
stories
that
there
sounds
you
good.
told me. Yeah.
All
So,
right.
all right. Enjoy this Falsters commercial we're going to watch now. There's my Australian.
How to speak Australian. No. Beer. Foster's Australian for beer.
We're back with the Somebody Show. Jack Curran telling us some cool stories. 81 years old. I hope I get there, man. I hope I make it 81. Well, I hope I make it 81, but I have this whole thing that May have talked about on the show before.
Robots.
I eventually, probably. But 300 years, that's my goal.
300 years.
I want to live for 300 years minimum.
You still won't have as many stories as Jack.
I want to see somebody land back on the moon. Then I don't care. Or Mars. I would love to see somebody land on Mars.
yeah.
But I don't know if I have enough time left for
No,
that.
yeah, hopefully.
You never know.
Yeah, Elon Musk is trying to make it
Yeah,
happen.
he's trying to make it happen.
Yeah. So you have also told me some stories of your time in the Caribbean, in the islands, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
When I got out of the Army, I wound up marrying my high school sweetheart.
Oh,
And I got out of air traffic control, and I started with a buddy of mine from the service. We started a construction business, and we were drilling concrete holes and doing concrete work.
okay.
Well, we were doing work at the Warminster Air Development, added to their sewer plant.
Okay.
And then a couple months after that, they said, "Hey, Jack, we got a job down in the Caribbean that nobody's bidding. And you just did the same type work that we need down there." I said, I don't know. He said, "Well, we'll fly you down. We'll put you up in a hotel. You take a look at the area and see what you think."
So you just did a job in Warminster, and now they wanted you to go.
Yeah,
Well,
right.
it's not quite Warminster. you
But
know, but I'll think about it.
I'll think about it. So I went down and I looked at it, and they said, "Well, you can't lose."
You always want to hear that.
Yeah. I said, "Where am I going to labor? Where am I going to stay?" They said, "Don't worry about it. We'll
Make it worth your while.
reimburse you. We'll make it work.
Wow.
If you can do it."
Yeah.
So I did. I found out where I could get concrete. They did have a mixing plant on the island. So I can always do a lumber yard there. I can get plenty of plywood to build forms.
What island was it?
St. Joe in the Virgin Islands.
All right.
And so then we went down there. And I fell in love with the place. After working there for 6-7 months, I fell in love with the place.
How long total did you end up being there?
18 years.
18 years. You were in love.
Oh, yeah. But I would come back and forth.
Yeah,
I
of
still had to take care of my business back here. But,
Hey, you built a shack on a hill or something like that?
well,
Did you tell me that?
I was renting a place in town.
Okay.
The cost went up triple because it became December, which is their starting of their high season, which they forgot to tell me that. Until it was like 2 weeks. I said, "Well, thank you for telling me." I went to the lumber yard, got a bunch because I already bought the property.
Yeah.
I didn't have any plans to build a house on it yet.
Yeah.
Takes forever to get them approved, but that's another
Yeah.
story.
Yeah.
I just put 2 shacks on the ground. I cleared 2 areas and built 2 T111 shacks, 16 by 16.
That's great.
Put bunks in there. My guys loved it. I got borrowed electric from my neighbor.
Oh, that's great. Did you do a foundation at all? Or what was the
No,
floor?
The ground.
It's the ground. I just built a deck on the ground
okay.
and then
Yeah.
built. So
How many guys did you bring up or down with you, I guess?
there was 6.
Okay, so you were able to bring your whole crew down with you. Okay.
Well, it wasn't a whole
Wow.
crew.
Sorry.
But I hired a couple of the laborers down there. And it was different times. Some of the guys would only stay there for a couple, 2 weeks while we're pouring concrete.
Right.
One time I was building, we had to pour concrete, and I had been in town that night, and I helped the guy out who was they were looking for a friend of his.
Okay.
Wasn't going to work for me. He was just somebody from New York City.
Right.
And, well, his friend he couldn't find.
He buried in the concrete.
So I let him stay in one of the shacks.
Okay.
And I said, well, you know, you owe me now.
Yeah.
We're pouring concrete, and my other guys, the laborers, didn't show up today. I said, you're pouring concrete. He says, why you never poured concrete? I said, well, you are.
Never
I said,
too late
it's
to
going
learn.
to be pumped. We're going to use a pump, and you got to
Hold it.
hold that thing, and we'll vibrate it down. But we need another guy to you just move along. As that's filling up, you'll see the concrete going down as we're running the vibrator into it.
Now, construction wasn't the only hustle you had going on the islands. I understand you told me about was it a daiquiri stand?
Yeah. Now, as I built my house, now I'm going to tell you about my permit for the house, and then I'll tell you.
Yeah.
All right. Everybody told me it's going to take me a year for the permit. Now, I had children from my first wife. I'm already on my third wife at the time. No, fourth wife at the time.
Okay.
And
81 years old. I mean, you got to get married a few times. You can't just
I got
let it go to waste.
Yeah. Anyhow, I put my plans in. Now I want to know why I didn't get my permits yet. So I go over to St. Thomas and go into the office and say, where's my thing? Well, the boss, you need the chief guy, but if you brought them plans in here 4 months ago, I'll show you the room. And shows me a room and it's drawings. 4 piles of drawings, and then the fifth one is half.
Yeah.
Okay, I said, well, where's mine at? He says, oh, they're here. We got to go through all these before we get to yours. I said, no, that ain't going to work. I want to start building now. You know?
Got a couple more weddings to get ready for
Yeah,
it.
that's right. So anyhow, I won't leave. I sat in his chair, in his office. No, he's like second in command. And then I'm looking on his desk, and there's a picture of a Boy Scout.
Oh,
His.
you made a connection.
Yeah, well, it started.
Yeah.
And then we started talking to him about, I said, well, my son's a Boy Scout too.
Then he threatened his son.
Yeah. He pulls out his drawer, and he pulls out this stack of photographs. Well, I was at a jamboree up at Treasure Island in Pennsylvania. I said, really? So was my son. He starts going through the pictures and showing me the pictures, because now he's talking to me. Yeah. Before that, he wanted me to throw me out of the office because I barged in and sat down. And then I pick up one picture and I say, wow,
That's my boy.
Here's my
there's
son.
my son right there with the Virgin Islands troop. And it says Medford.
Wow.
I says, there, look, that's my son. And he's saying, well, that's my son. I said, well, they're not perfect, they're not together. There's
Right.
a couple kids in between them.
Yeah. Same
I said, I got my pictures in my wallet. I'll show it. He takes out a magnifying glass and he looks. He thinks I'm kidding him. I says, I know my son, just like you know what your son looks like. You know. He looks at it. He goes, "You go have lunch, then come back."
Okay.
When I came back from lunch, all my plans were approved.
So how did you sneak the picture into his drawer?
No, it's like winning the lottery. I should take more chances on the lottery. But anyhow, I saw it, and one of the guys, one of the people, the realtor over there, he knew what I was doing, and he said, "How did you do that? How in the world did you do that?" Because he knew how long it was taking people to get the permit.
Kismet.
And he said he thought I bribed him. How much did you pay him?
Yeah.
I said, you'll never believe the story.
That's great.
You'll never believe the story. Well, anyhow, I built the house.
Yeah.
That took like a year and a half to build the house, on and off. I would be down there. And then my wife decided, she worked for AT&T. She was an executive for AT&T. And she just moved her job down there.
Okay.
Put a fiber optic line up to the house. I had a phone line up there, but she put a fiber optic because the other phone, you would get an echo over the distance.
Sure.
With the fiber optic, it was like me talking to you.
Yeah.
So she could do her job just right from the house. Sometimes she had to go to Puerto Rico over to St. Thomas. And I had a hobby before that of collecting birds.
Oh.
Macaws, mainly.
Yeah.
Started out with African greys, and then it's changed over to macaws.
Okay.
So I had 6 macaws and 2 African greys.
Yeah.
Alive birds?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. They talk. too. I mean, they
Hey,
say
Jack,
I love you. And
Give me a glass of milk.
that's right. Yeah. Some are smarter than others. You know. Well, anyhow, there was up on Bordeaux Mountain was an overlook, and the woman couldn't get anybody into her place, and she started talking to me because they had seen me with the birds driving around in my Jeep. And I said, I'll open up a daiquiri stand on the other side of your deck and I'll get people into your gift shop. You know? And she said, okay, but you got to get a permit. Well, I went through the permitting process, which is a joke. Liquor license cost me $25. It's the legwork. The trips over to St. Thomas, to the police department, to the health department. I said, I built a stand, like your table here, one like this, but a little bigger than that. And a couple blenders, and I made daiquiris. Only daiquiris, that's all I made. Case of rum cost me $22 for a case of rum.
And what year was this you were down there?
That was, well, it was on television. I ran on television for that. In the late 80s.
Okay, yeah. All right.
About 88.
Can we find a commercial for Jack's Daiquiri Stand?
Daiquiris, the
Do you
daiquiri
still
stand.
have like the TV spot that you were on? Do you have a recording of that anymore?
I don't have a recording of that, but I have pictures. I have
give me some
photographs.
pictures, too.
You know, that was on Good Morning
Share
America.
some pictures. Oh, Good Morning America.
Yeah, it was on
That's
Good
a
Morning.
bigger
They
show
used to
than this.
A
go.
little bit.
Yeah, they used to go from place to place.
GMA.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, they were up there. There was two daiquiri stands. One was down below the West Indian owned, and then mine
Yeah.
was above him.
Yeah. Wow. Well, Jack, I feel like we could have you talk for a long time, and we should have you back if you're willing to come back
I'm willing to come
sometime. But is there anything else before we go that you have that you felt like you had to get off your chest when I asked you to be on the show?
Well, the thing about my wife, she didn't like me doing the daiquiri stand. Now, the
Which
daiquiri,
one?
This is
Number four.
yeah.
Number four. She said I should be doing my construction stuff instead of running up there. Now, I didn't run up there every day. I had a guy work for me.
Yeah.
Kim, his name was Kim.
Okay.
And
How big were his boobs? This is like number 5.
no. But it was open 7 days a week.
Okay.
Now my wife started hollering about why was I doing it, and I had to say one time, like, I threw all the money in my receipts. It was like $600 a day.
Oh, jeez.
Cash. And that's what I was bringing home, and I paid Kim $100.
Right.
Plus he got the tips.
Right.
Yeah.
You know? Well, I just threw the money in the living room. Where in the hell do you think all the money's coming from? For you to run over to Puerto Rico and with your girlfriend and stuff like that, buying all that clothing that you're buying. You know?
Wow.
So,
Wow. That's amazing.
but you know, it was a good gig.
Yeah, that sounds great.
And unfortunately, you drive on the left. So somebody here said you drive on the left when you're in the islands.
Oh, okay.
She got, yeah, you did. You know, you over there. And you get complacent because there's no traffic lights. So in St. John, there's no traffic lights. Couple stop signs.
Yeah.
You can't really go fast because it's curvy and mountainous. A friend of mine was hanging onto my Jeep in the dark one time, thinking I was going to go over the cliff. And you know, he would never come back to the islands. And he was a good friend. He he just never would come back. He said it scared him to death just on the roads at night. He could never drive at night on the roads. And he had me in stitches. And the more I laughed at him in the back of the Jeep screaming and hollering, I'm trying to tell him, you drive on the left here. You don't drive on the right. He thought I was drunk and going to go off the side. But my wife had gotten complacent living there.
Yeah.
And she came here and on 611 in Jenkintown, she forgot where she was and actually drove into a pole because she was trying to get her dress. Something you could have done in the islands and it wouldn't have mattered.
Right.
It mattered here because, she was, first she started out on the left. She forgot where she was momentarily and then tried to get back, and then her dress fell, or she was up there for a class reunion. It fell, either a pocketbook or dress, and she reached over for it.
Oh, man.
And just took the wheel and ran into the pole.
Well, I got something here for you.
Okay.
Our guests get a T-shirt, Somebody for Life. So you are
There you go.
officially Somebody for Life there, Jack. I really
Thank
appreciate
you.
you coming on the show. Like I said, I'd love to have you back because I think there's
There's more there.
a ton.
Like I said, every time I knew Jack was coming, I would put an hour away just to have.
Yeah.
So I
There you
worked
go.
7 hour days, and Jack was running rather than 8 hour day because I knew I had time to talk to
I
Jack.
can talk for a long
Yes,
time.
sir.
Jack, thank you so much, man.
You're welcome.
Good to see
Thank you.
We'll be right back from commercial.
Thank you.
And we'll see you then. Thank you.
Don't give me that soda, the same old cola. I wanna pop, I wanna Shasta, I wanna taste pizzazz, all the great taste. Shasta has, I wanna pop, I wanna Shasta, I wanna thrill, I wanna wow, taste it all, I wanna know. I wanna pop, I wanna Shasta.
We're back from that commercial. Jack's awesome, man.
Jack's great.
81 years old. 85. So, I mean, it's awesome. He's doing great. He's
Really
got
got what,
great
30 years
stories.
left?
Oh, close. Yeah, close. So we've been talking about this for a while, and we actually in the Kickstarter, I think, put this as one of the tiers that you could
Options,
kind of
yeah.
give money toward. But it was an on-air apology for a guest. So you had this idea that like some people are kind of nervous to apologize to people. Maybe they need an intermediary to do that for them, and we volunteered ourselves, our services, to read an apology online or on YouTube for these people.
Yeah.
We had a couple people that did that. I reached out to them to say, hey, send me your on-air apology. And it's crickets. So I guess they just wanted to give us the money for the show and then not want anything to do with us after that. So in an effort to try to coax those people out of their hiding and shyness, and also to get other viewers to send us your on-air apologies that you may want us to read, Sean and I are going to do a couple personal on-air apologies to people in our past. You want to go first?
Yeah, I'll let you go
You always go first.
Yeah.
Yeah, you always win the episode. So I wanted to apologize to all my grade school teachers for being a class clown and disrupting your class. As an adult, I realized that can be problematic, and I apologize.
And I broke some bones on some fellow elementary school. I broke...
Not your own, like so many people.
I broke Ryan Fulmer. I broke his ankle. I should probably apologize for that. And then I believe I broke Chris Rocher's both his wrists at one point. So I should probably apologize for that. I was just a big dumb goof. Like I just,
Like they owed you money, and you're like, I'm gonna break your ankle. You don't pay me back.
That was a big goon. Okay. My head was just, I couldn't control my head. I was just knocking people down. And
Wait, you broke ankles and wrists with your head?
pretty much. I mean, I was just a big dumb animal. But yeah, and then we should also probably apologize to everybody who watches this show.
Yeah, we apologize to all of you for wasting your time. It was kind of your fault too, but that doesn't sound like a good apology. My son breaks ankles all the time. At least he tells me.
Ball?
Yeah.
I legit broke, and we were playing hockey.
Okay.
And I was I think I was saying I was Chris Chelios.
Yeah.
And he's standing in front. It was like a quote unquote friendly hockey game. We were just playing, the local.
Yeah, seriously.
I'm just not a.
My son also just told me he told a kid after playing football with him recently that he has good ankles because he was unable to break his ankles. He told me, he goes, he was really good, Dad. So after the game, I said, good game, you have good ankles.
Dennis Gardner, sorry about your wrist, buddy.
Yeah. Sorry so much. And that was the show. We're all done. And
we're all somebody, and we can't wait to meet you.
All. Bye.